Hey guys, JP here from Trails and Details, and today I have the pleasure to detail this beautiful German powerhouse, a Porsche 996 GT3. It's getting a full detail with a foam bath, a hand wash, a clay bar treatment, a ceramic coating as a paint protectant, and a bunch of other stuff. Let's start off with the washing part of the car, more specifically the rims. For this I have several tools and products in my arsenal that I will use to get this Porsche clean once again. First I fill up one bucket with just regular water, which will be my rinse bucket. Then I fill a second bucket with soap and the required tools for the job, including a wheel brush for the wheel well, a detail brush for the more intricate areas, another wheel brush made for washing the tires, and last but not least a dedicated wheel wash mitt. As with any detail, I always start off by giving the wheels a good rinse with just water. This way you can knock off a lot of standing dirt, which will in turn mean that the cleaning products don't have to fight their way through that standing dirt before it can get to the caked on dirt. After rinsing the wheel, I apply CarPro's Iron X. This product breaks down the dirt on the rims as well as any iron particles embedded on the rims from, for instance, brake dust. After letting that do its job for a few minutes, I use my wheel brush to get into the well of the wheel. Normally I would use my trusty wheel woolly, but this Porsche has very big disc brakes and calipers, which leaves too little room for my wheel woolly to properly clean it. However, this brush works fine as well. Then I take the wash mitt to wash the front of the rim. Followed by my detail brush to get into the more intricate areas. And then I use my dedicated tire brush to also clean the tire and not just the rim. And after that, all I need to do is rinse off the remaining dirt and cleaning products to reveal one very clean and mint looking wheel. Then it's time to do the other three wheels the exact same way. Now that the wheels are clean, it's time to tackle the body of the car. And just like the rims, I start off by giving the car a good rinse to knock off that standing dirt, once again making it easier for the cleaning products to tackle the dirt that is really stuck on the body. And with that rinse, I was already able to get a good amount of dirt off of the car, including a whole bunch of bird poop. Then it was time to give the car a foam bath. This time around I'm using Mcguire's Clean Slate, which helps lift dirt off of the car, but it also breaks down any previous layers of paint protection like waxes or sealants. Of course, during a regular maintenance wash you wouldn't use this, but since I will be doing paint correction, I want any previous layers of paint protection to be off of the car, so the paint is as naked as can be. You can see how the soap is slowly but surely dropping to the ground with the help of gravity, making it so we have less dirt to remove during our hand wash. After letting it sit for a few minutes, it was time to rinse the car once again with my pressure washer. And as you can see, the soap already did a good job of loosening up that bird poop. Now it's time to wash the car by hand. In this case, I'm using Mcguire's Wash Plus, which is currently my favorite shampoo to use when it comes to a full detail. The reason for this is that it's slightly abrasive, which means it's not only very good at getting rid of caked on dirt, but it also removes light swirls ever so slightly. The downside of the shampoo is that it does affect any layers of paint protection, like wax, so I don't use this product when it comes to just a regular maintenance wash. This product is of course accompanied by a bucket of rinse water with a grit guard. I also did one section at a time during the hand wash since the car was parked in the sun and I didn't have any way of moving it at that time, so to prevent the chemicals from drying up, I just did one section, immediately rinsed it off and then moved on to the next part. Now that the car has been washed, it's time to dry it off with my Car Pro Fat BOA drying towel. And the car is definitely starting to look better, but we still have a lot of work left. Before we move on to cleaning the car, I quickly want to tackle the door sills, which should also look great when it comes to properly cleaning a car. For this, I simply use an all-purpose cleaner and a microfiber towel. And not too long after, I was able to put the car inside the garage where I would continue my work. First up is cleaning the car. I'm using Poor Boy's Clay Lube, an Auto Finesse spray bottle, and a medium grade clay bar from Angel Wax. The car definitely had a fair bit of dirt trapped in the paint as it felt pretty rough, so this step was much needed. You can hear the difference of the paint before clay bar and after clay bar. And here's what the clay bar looked like after just a few panels. This is all dirt trapped in the paint that you can't get out by just a regular wash, which just goes to show how important it is to clay your car when your paint starts to feel rough even after you washed it. And after not too much time, the car was clayed, and now all that were left is just these scratches and swirls in the paint, which means it's time to polish the car. Before we begin though, we have to tape off the rubber and plastic trim, so my DA polisher can potentially damage those parts of the car. For polishing, I'm using my Rupes Bigfoot LHRDA polisher, a selection of pads and compound, a pad conditioner, an isopropyl based cleaner, an inspection light, a paint thickness meter, a few towels, and a pad brush. Before I do any polishing though, I first want to know if there's enough paint left on the car, As with polishing, we're removing a top layer of paint to reveal a fresh, even coat of paint without any swirls and scratches. 80 microns is the minimum amount I need, so 118 microns here is very doable. And as it turns out, the car has an average of about 120 to 130 microns of paint left. Not a whole lot, but definitely enough to remove a lot of the paint imperfections. Then I go over the car and assess the damage with an inspection light, and based on that I will make a decision on what pad and compound to use. I think for this car I will need a rough compound and a heavy pad, but I always try one step lighter first just to see if that is enough. After all, the less paint we remove, the better, so if that lighter step works too, I will have spared the car some unnecessary paint removal and left more on for the next time me or someone else will detail this car. Now it's time to try out the lighter step. In this case I'm using a medium cutting pad with Mcguire 2500. And while I did a decent job, it wasn't rough enough to get the job done. But at least now I know for sure that the heavy cutting pad and a rougher compound is needed. Now it's time to bust out the DA polisher with that heavier combination. And after inspecting it and being happy with the result, all that there was left to do now was hours and hours of polishing. In between polishing, I make sure to regularly clean my pads so they don't get caked up with compound and can't cut the paint properly anymore. Now as the day went on, the sun moved and it started to heat up the front of the car, which is something I don't want during paint correction. Which also meant that you guys would be able to hear this beast start up, as I had to move it back a little bit. Ah yes, the glorious sound of that flat 6. And with the car moved and the front now in the shade, I could continue my work by polishing the front of the car. Now, while my DA polisher is great at covering larger areas, it is unfortunately too bulky to do more intricate areas like this beautiful wing on the back of this Porsche. Luckily, my Rupus Hybrid Nano polisher is made for that type of stuff, so on we go. And after many hours and going over the entire car with a rough compound, it was time to switch to a finishing compound, which in this case is Mcguire 3500, which adds a lot of extra shine to the paint for a nice finishing look. And after many hours of paint correction, the paint is now in tip-top shape and this Porsche is really starting to look showroom fresh. Now that we're done with paint correction, we can start by removing the tape. And before we move on to paint protection, we first clean the car with an isopropyl based cleaner to make sure that there's no compound left on the car or anything else left on the paint. After all, the cleaner the paint, the better your paint protection product will bond to the car. In this case, we're using CarPro C-Quartz UK 3.0, one of my go-to ceramic coatings. For this, we need a well-ventilated room, so the doors of the garage were opened and I put on a mask. Applying this product is pretty easy. First, we put some drops on an applicator pad with a clean cloth. Then we wipe it on one section of the car. And after some time of curing, we wipe it off with a clean towel. And that's pretty much it. Rinse and repeat. And now we're almost done. The car is clean, the paint is corrected and protected, so now we do some finishing touches. First, we add some Chemical Guys VRP to the tires to give them a nice black finish. And I almost forgot these exhausts when cleaning the car, so we're tackling them now. All they need is some chrome cleaner and a microfiber towel to make them look brand new. And then the interior gets a quick wipe down to remove any dust or dirt that was still there. Then the car was brought outside where I wiped off the windows one last time, and here's the finished result. And there you go guys, one very clean looking Porsche and also a very happy owner to boot. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.